What impact is that going to have on the local Las Vegas market?
Well, I hope it has a good impact. Naturally, we're doing it for our own selfish reasons. We need to staff our new hotel, but in a way, I'm sort of glad that it comes at a time when it gives a lot of people who could use a job a chance to get one. And that's a good thing for us too, because the most creative moment in one of these new properties is this period that we started this morning. And I guess we have 9,000 people that came the first morning. By 10 o'clock in the morning, 9,000. I mean, a stunning response. And if we do a good job, we'll do 60, 70,000 people to get 5,300 jobs, 5,400. Then we infuse in this company a whole new family of personalities and kooky, happy people. And that gives the place the vitality that at the end of the day is the defining thing about its future. You could spend as much money as you want on fancy carpets and fabrics and marble floors, and hopefully if you've got good taste, you build a pretty place. But the truth of the building, its long-term viability as a business, is about the people that work there and the culture and the feeling they have about the enterprise and each other. And this picking of the people, this sifting through the applicants and adding to our family is the most creative moment in the whole it takes about 4 or 5 years to design and build one of these. A couple years in design, 3 years to build, give or take a month or two. This 5-year turn, the most critical thing is who's working here. And I think we're going to take 1,700 of the 53 or 5,400 people from here and move them next door. Then we'll backfill in the Wynn with those people, and then 35 or 3,700 will come new into Encore. If we can do that well, and this economic environment that you mentioned, Edward, a moment ago, is working in our favor. Now, in terms of maximizing revenue, we're in a trough, not a peak of one of these cycles. So what? Cycles, we've had them before, we'll have them again. We're here to run a business up or down and create a good experience for the public and to do it with a happy workforce. Well, now's the time when we do the workforce.
Well, when you, obviously building a new casino, you're going to have to bring the guests. Do you think that the old adage, if you build it, they will come. If you build it, will they come?
I sure hope so. If they don't, it's going to be very embarrassing for me and all my friends. They've always come in the past, and the question is with how much gusto do they come? How deep is the demand? Sometimes it's thinner and a little bit more limp-wristed than others. But I don't want to minimize the impact of economic business cycles on Las Vegas, because there certainly is an impact. No question about it. We're like the rest of the United States. If there's a recession, we feel it. If there's a boom, we feel it. But if you're a business executive and a manager like myself and my colleagues are, that's not really our issue. Our issue is to run the business, to lead the staff, good times or bad. That's what we get paid for. And to a certain extent, you can look upon these kinds of economic cycles as exercises. You got to be able to do it up or down, in the bright sunshine or a little in the shade. You got to be able to do this. The skills that we've developed and our ambitions are irrelevant to the economic conditions outside. We have to react, perhaps. We'll try. When it's really booming, we enjoy higher levels of revenue. We're a little bit freer with the payroll than we would be when times are tight. But basically, I don't really care about short-term business cycles. That doesn't mean that I'm insensitive to them, but that's not my primary responsibility. It's to my guests through my staff. So we'll open the hotel exactly the way we would if this was the World's Fair boom period. Exactly the same way. We've got to be consistent with our staff and we got to be consistent with the public.
Do you think the 5,300 jobs will have an effect the economy? I mean, it seems like the trickle-down money, the money you pay the employees, the money the employees spend in the community, will that turn the Las Vegas economic cycle, do you think?
Well, if people come to us who are already working at other hotels, and that's mainly what will happen, those jobs that we're creating are new jobs. And I'm happy to say that in my career, I've created new jobs of about 150, 200,000 here in this valley, which means I'm probably partly responsible for the traffic jam, so you can get angry at me for congestion. But new jobs are being created by Encore. And that's a good thing, because the payroll, we don't have any minimum wage people here, unless it's a cocktail waitress who makes 80,000 or 130,000 a year. Nobody's minimum wage in this building. The gaming industry doesn't have minimum wage employees except in highly tipped categories. So the average wage is over 30,000. So when you take this payroll, it's going to be, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars. That's a good thing for the demand at stores and for services in the community, whether it's a car dealer or a supermarket. So I'm glad that we're able to do that. Strengthening the economy is in Nevada at a time like this is probably a good thing. The Encore will make money, so it's a question of how much it'll make. So we'll be able to afford our payroll.
After 2001, September 11, 2001, we saw a huge dip in guests that were coming here, and we rebounded.
That was a
a
special catastrophic moment.
Obviously, but
it only lasted about a month. The worst of it is 3 weeks, I guess.
Right. So the dip in guests is much worse than we're seeing right now.
Oh my God! They had to shut the wings of the Bellagio. Right. Bobby Baldwin told me he closed 2 out of 3 wings. There were no flights coming.
Do you think that we will,
excuse me?
No, that's fine. Do you think that we will rebound the same way we rebounded?
I don't think I'm able to answer that question in an informed way. I'm not sure. You know, that everything today is exaggerated because of the media and the global communication. So when gas prices spike, the stories that are written, before you know it, it's the end of life as we know it, but the price of oil broke last week and it's going to bounce around, and so will prices at the pump. The airlines have big loads coming in here still. I think that we make too much of everything. This is a period with cable news and the internet and the bloggers. You know, everything you read and hear is presented as if it was all true. Fact and fiction have an equal value on a computer screen on the internet. So people can't really separate baloney from fact. You get a false sense of that you understand something. You get a false sense of security that you really understand a subject when you don't. If you don't have a sense of history. I think we're exaggerating the long-term impact here of the oil crisis. I think that America will figure this out. We're going to find ways of dealing with this, and we'll adjust to higher gas prices. I don't think they're going to be as high as they have been in the last few weeks, and we'll survive.
Well, and one of those ways is the dollar is very weak, so international guests coming to tourists.
Especially to this hotel, we get more of that because we get that top-end business.
Right.
That mitigates some of the negative impact.
And does it? So do you think that international guests will fill a void?
We're getting more business from Europe, especially because of the euro, than we did in prior years. And that helps. And we, of course, get big Asian business in this. Again, I'm not the Chamber of Commerce. I'm a niche operator. It was in the paper today that I said that. And I don't mean by that I don't care, but I'm dealing to a very special segment of the market, and Encore is part of that. As opposed to the more broad spectrum companies like Harrah's and MGM, which have hotels that cater to virtually every segment of the economy. The Wynn properties are top-end places. And so I get the benefit of that, the thing you mentioned, you know, a lower dollar and a higher euro. Some of my international customers think they're playing with pesos. not exactly accurate, but it's given them a little bit more gusto at the tables.
Are you still bullish on the future of Las Vegas? You still?
I am.
You think we'll see the guests and we have huge projects on yours and City Center and Echelon and huge projects down the road.
In the case of Echelon and City Center, we have known and have been commenting for the past 3 years, since those projects were announced and begun, that they represented dramatic departures from the past. The notion that's in play at City Center is major new development, high density development. I mean, there's 65 acres there. That's how many acres there are here at the Wynn corner. And we have 5.8 million feet, not counting Encore. They put 19 million feet on the same size as Bellagio and Wynn. It contains everything. 7,000 odd rooms, shopping centers, condominiums, room area after area, huge, giant, complex place. It's creating Times Square or the Ginza. Nothing like this has ever been done anywhere in the world at one time. So we're looking at one of the most incredible and dramatic experiments in modern history. What it ends up feeling like, we're all going to be anxious to see next year. And I'm fascinated by this because we've got a lot of land here, and I'm hoping to learn something. Echelon, again, a multiplicity of offerings on one piece of property, all designed at once and interrelated in a professional and clever way. I built Wynn, and it took 5 years to design and build the Wynn Hotel. It took me 2.5 years to design the little Encore.
Little.
Another 5 million feet, but another 2 years of design and another 32 months of building. Compared to City Center, it's a tinker toy. So, I am, as a student of Las Vegas for the past 40 years, I look at City Center in a fascinating way. Saying, wow.
Well, you have a lot of land back here, and I read in your financial report at the end of the year, it said maybe mid-09 there may be some other development.
I hope to start something. But what we're starting back there is not City Center. It's a whole different thing. It's less dense than anything else. It's a park. It's just the opposite from Times Square. It's the reservoir in Central Park. It's as far away as you can get. I'm not a high density person. I look for the quality of experience that comes from lack of compression as opposed to compression. And I think you put that in the middle of the Strip and you get an entirely different kind of intellectual dynamic. That doesn't mean that the City Center project is anything but the world's greatest idea. It's just that I think in different terms.
With each casino you build, you set the trend, you set the standard. Bellagio, Wynn, Encore. Does Encore, when it opens, will it put that next level in there?
Encore is going to look different, appear to be different than anything else on the Strip. And when I say appear to be different, I mean in a fundamental way. And let's talk about something that we're all aware of when we walk into the casino area, for example. Wynn, Bellagio, Venetian, Caesar's Palace, they're basically fanciful rooms of gaming inside a wall, surrounded by walls that have restaurants and stuff in it. And it's an open space in the middle of walls, contained in a room, a big room. In the case of Encore, two sides, the big sides of the casino are all glass, looking into the pool and garden, just like this room, just like behind me. Glass, natural light, gardens, just like behind me. And inside the casino is chambered with tie-back drapes and groups of 12 and 14 and 8 and 10 games and slot machines in chambers with tie-back drapes and headers or valances connecting the columns on 30-foot centers. Smaller places that look out on no walls. Small places with no walls instead of a big place with walls. And that is to say, the physical relationship of the parts have been inverted and reversed. So Encore will appear to be a new animal. Now people may say, oh, I hate that. I'm never going to go in there again. Steve Wynn's a stupid person, and all of his friends, they had their brain was in their pocket or something. Or they may say, this is refreshing and different, and more importantly, it's connected to Wynn, and we can experience that type of place and this type of place by just walking around if we're staying at either one. And that'll give them choice. And that's what I'm counting on, that they will love having the change of pace. And they can dial up whatever they want.
I appreciate it.
That's
I think